It's Laura Eisenhower.
Hey, Laura, how you doing?
It's
Divine Mother Earth time.
Yeah, it's Divine Mother Earth time. And it's always Divine Mother Earth time. And sometimes when it's Divine Mother Earth time, Mother's not feeling so... it's just the
So what's that?
Yeah, I don't know. I just wake up sometimes and I read certain things and just see kind of what's going on in the world. And the mother in me just gets flooded with emotions, and I just need to release those emotions. And it's the kind of thing where you just want to kind of lock yourself away. You don't want anybody to be like, oh, are you okay? Are you okay? It's like, no, it's just, I'm raining. It's just letting it out. Just got to let the rain pour. Just, I don't know, just seeing the inversions, I don't want to say inversions because I don't want to make anybody feel who's listening to this like, oh, what, you think I'm inverted? It's just, there's just something that, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. So what are we going to talk about today, Marisa?
So we're going to talk about like what's going on with Mother Earth, what's going on with humanity, because it's both connected. And yeah, like there's a lot happening in the world right now, right? So there's people who are trying to speak truth, who are censored, and then there's people who are just saying whatever they want. And I think there's like this whole double standard. It goes with what's going on in the world right now. And then if you look at what happened with the wildfires in Canada, right? And how that totally took over and nobody could breathe on the East Coast. I mean, I live right on the marina of Jersey City and I couldn't see the Statue of Liberty. It was like Liberty disappeared. Like, what does that say? And then nobody's asking questions like, how did this really happen? And then I see images of drones starting fires when we're supposed to think it's climate change. So there's that. So it's like everything is sort of shrouded in, like, truth is hidden, and we're not supposed to talk about what really happened. And I wish people would ask more questions. So that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's across the board in everything that we're seeing, that the mechanisms behind what is being presented to us are not being addressed. It's like geoengineering. Let's talk about climate change instead. We can't talk about geoengineering. Pandemic stuff. Let's talk about, what the authorities are telling us needs to be done. That's okay. But let's not talk about what's behind that and what is supporting us as far as the earth energies and medicines and expertise from doctors that have been in this and seen first close up and personal what is really going on. Yeah, let's just let those guys be censored. So I guess part of what I appreciate Pride Month. I figured that we all appreciate freedom of expression, and that's always been the case. We've been through the 70s and 80s and 90s, freedom of expression. We see it in the arts, we see it in music. Growing up in the 80s, there was all sorts of androgyny and Rocky Horror Picture Show and Annie Lennox and Culture Club and Wham. And I mean, I don't think that these things were really being just frowned upon. And now it's just become such a movement that I feel distracts us away from looking at the greater battle and war that is been waged upon humanity, and the war on consciousness and this conquer and divide. My friend Patty Greer, she lives in Colorado, and all that they're doing with the flags and painting the streets with the rainbow thing, and a video I saw earlier with the school boards and the teachers saying, it's atrocious that people are saying, I identify as USA, and they're wearing red, white, and blue when they should be wearing the rainbow color. It's like, that's a double standard. If you want freedom of expression, it's not a one-way street. Let other people express what their identification is, or what their passion is, or what their freedom of expression is. How can you support one thing and shut something else down? It's like that is not, it's like, where's the common sense? It's just, so I just find myself trying to just be like light about it and like, oh, this is just like laughable, but it's so fucking disturbing that it just crushes my heart. It just seems just so ridiculous. Because the people that are being attacked, smeared, and censored are standing for a greater freedom. They're calling out crimes against humanity. They're calling out things like human trafficking and pedophilia, and where our world leaders, are corrupted and steering us in a very dangerous direction. And I just don't understand how the instinct or the intuition or and this is where it comes back to the mother, that mother instinct or that paternal instinct as a parent. How can you not have that override, this outer authority that's damaging the minds of your children?
I agree. So
there's a lot of advocacy, but there's not enough. And I hope there's more.
What's interesting? It's like, when this whole movement came out about what was going on with the children, and then we were told, when people find out about the crimes against the children, then everything's going to change and we're all going to get behind saving the children, because 800,000 children disappear from this country annually, 8 million worldwide. But it didn't seem to spark anything or change anything. And even last week, when the Wall Street Journal said that Pizzagate was real, nothing. There were crickets. And speaking of crickets, now we're supposed to be eating crickets. Like, that is not going to happen. So, and this whole thing about the conquer and divide, that was designed from the very beginning, pitting Adam against Eve. And then, the Roman Empire going after the Gnostics, and, with black against white, Catholic against Protestant, Muslim against Catholic Christians. It's like, and now it's like mask against unmasked, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like we're getting more and more and more divided. And that is a strategy. That is their strategy, to keep us totally divided so we don't fight against the real enemy.
That's right. Right. We're here to actually come together and switch each other on to rebuild the 12-strand DNA. So if they can get us to be in war with one another or divided, we can't do that rebuilding. We can't do that integration. We are unable to kind of light each other up and activate certain things that might be dormant. We're all here to come together and represent like our truth and who we are on a very much deeper, more organic, soul-centered level, which is the 5D. That's the soul matrix, right? We're in the personality kind of addiction matrix that's very vulnerable to mind control, psyops, and false flags and all this kind of stuff, because it's not soul-centered enough to be able to self-reflect, to do the shadow work. It's just answering to all these sort of signals that put a person in a reaction response to, then want to stand for something or some movement without kind of reflecting on like the bigger picture of, wait a second, is some trauma wound being targeted for me to like hold a victim consciousness that puts my victim energy above others, to where that needs to be placated at the cost of other people being silenced and being ridiculed and having the very same thing done to them that you are trying to heal yourself of? It just, blows my mind. So they don't want us to rebuild our 12-strand DNA. They've impacted the planetary grid network for this reason. And everything is all about, all these diverse aspects of who we are. Instead of it working in harmony together, let's have it arguing and debating and being polarized and in duality. And that's the war on consciousness. And that's why the scrambled DNA is very, very hard to begin to switch on, because we're scrambled in the madness. And it's actually not scrambled. It's dormant. What's scrambled is the AI frequency signals that are, causing people to attach to something in order to feel a sense of direction. But is that really you?
Right.
Because these higher codes in our DNA are connected to higher gammic union and integration of polarity in higher harmonic universes. Go ahead.
So I totally agree with everything you said. First of all, you say something that I absolutely love. You say, why not be, we're not 5G towers. Why not be a 5D tower, right? And connect to the fifth dimension. So I love that. And I agree. Instead of like focusing on our differences, You know, David Icke says the greatest thing, and that is, you're not little you, you're a human, your consciousness having a human experience. And if we all saw that in each other, maybe, and saw that the key to saving ourselves is recognizing, seeing that in each other, and then bonding together and trying to, you know, ascend and change the planet and save the planet and ourselves, which is really what we're meant to do, is to evolve and raise consciousness and raise Mother Earth, because it's divine Mother Earth time. And this is the time right now.
That's right. Yeah. And it's like, there's so much hijacking of the natural initiations that humanity is going through that just distorts it just enough. Because if we're here to, you know, integrate polarity and the masculine and feminine within ourselves, it's like there's this version of it that is being pushed on our children that is creating more confusion about it, instead of like embracing something that is actually what we're waking up to. It's just and every level, again, like climate change, geoengineering, right? And all these different attempts to convince humanity that this is the progressive path, and everything else that's looking at the deeper war, psychological warfare, spiritual warfare being waged in order to complicate the whole process, is being dismissed and censored. It's just kind of where this kind of bifurcation is happening.
I agree. I mean, it seems like humanity is going through like PTSD, and it hasn't really changed. It's like there's the more stuff they throw at us, the more in trauma we get, unless we connect to something higher. And, you know, then there's this whole AI agenda, which is connected to the Baphomet agenda. I mean, we saw slippers for children with Baphomet on it. It's like the children are being assaulted by so many different, in so many different areas. And then we've got, like, we were talking about the Dark Mother and the AI agenda merging with that, like Beyonce's concert right now, where she basically turns into like an AI android, like that the robot in Metropolis. That's the whole arc of her show. And she talks about mind control, and there's like mind control images that are like, you know, hypnotizing people while they're watching her concert. And then she's got like stargates, and like the stargate is right between her legs. It's, I mean, that's messaging. That's like MK Ultra messaging. That's mind control messaging. And we're supposed to sit back and take it in.
Yeah, and that's very much the inversion, because if one looks at just like Glastonbury tour in the land, you know, the labyrinth, and like the mother energy and the yoni and the body of the mother is very much a part of the earth, and the process of death, rebirth, alchemy, transformation, and being reborn, you know, going into the mother womb, which is very much the underworld, but where the overlord, or sort of Hades, or even just anything that like wants to entrap that energy in the underworld, you know, it feels like hellish. So the 7 gates of hell, or whatever, going through all this kind of stuff, is to reclaim that power, reclaim that regenerative power within yourself, to be able to rise again. That's the whole cycle of maiden, mother, crone, you know, to gain that wisdom, to find that light of wisdom in the dark, to override, you know, anything that's kind of controlling you, or using that energy for the benefit of themselves, you know, to enslave it, to control it, to undermine it, to not appreciate its wisdom. And that's the domination of this kind of, you know, patriarchy. So we are going to get into a lot of these kind of topics, Marisa and I just wanted to share this about the mother. The reversal mother is the anti-female collective consciousness of the Satanists, whose accumulated collective consciousness is harvested by the negative alien agenda to gain energetic power from the earth grid and from humanity by hijacking and raping the female and mother principle energies. Thus, in order to gain full access to siphon the planetary consciousness energies, as well as the human soul, they have set up global misogyny and sexual misery programs that further spread the satanic forces to take power and control on the earth. This is the anthropic system put in place and all controller pillars of society in order that they can continue to hijack all aspects of the female consciousness and all of its permutations, such as the fallen goddess consciousness energies, which gives them access to the earth energies in order to achieve the total control and enslavement agenda of humanity. So that's reversal mother energy. So when you talked about that symbolism, I have to say that is, that Baphomet, that dark sort of reversal. It's not nurturing. It's not the kind of mother energy that is nurturing and healing. It puts it into, kind of like the mother energy being a seductress and very kind of vampiric, kind of wanting to pull you in and yank you in and sort of like consume it for its own power,
It's like siphoning your energy. It's like siphoning your humanity. It's basically the whole AI agenda, which is to take your soul away from you and turn you into a machine, connect you to the Borg, right? And have you be part of this whole like transhuman agenda, like incorporate artificial intelligence into your system, right? Whereas if we really connected to our 5D tower, we would have all the information we really needed, because let's be honest, humanity is the gem of the creation crown. Once we connect, once we really achieve our divinity and become the true humans we were meant to be, it's game over for the elites who are not really elites, the cabal, whatever you want to call them, but it's game over. And that's the last thing they want, is us realizing who we truly, really are. And that's why they want us to be AI. And they really want our humanity. They want to flip it. Again, more inversion.
That's right. And we're not going to allow that to happen to us. Well, that's not ever was going to happen, but wherever anyone that listens can just feel into that and be a courageous person in your own life and your community to stand up and, have something to say. It's like, if you can march around and ask to be accepted and appreciated, we would like the same in response. And why can't we all get along and come together? There's no reason that what you want to be celebrated for or appreciated for or given the freedom of expression for, it should be just for you alone. It should be for all. And that there's no battle between the differences. It's like, you do you, you do me. And, if it doesn't resonate, it's not because you're homophobic. It's not because you're transphobic. It's like, stop getting triggered and taking everything personally. You're going to gravitate towards the music that you prefer to listen to. When you go to a festival, there's many different bands. You're going to choose a band to listen to. When you go to the grocery store, there's going to be food that you pull off from the shelf that's different than the other person next to you and what they might pull from the shelf. Are you going to like stand there and be like, no, you need to do it how I do it? No. I mean, so we know that makes zero sense when we break it down to just this everyday kind of life. Why can't that spill over into just everything? It's just whatever works for you, you do it. And if I'm doing it this way and I'm not joining in, it doesn't mean that you don't appreciate it or like it. It's just, you're over here doing you. It's like, and I can appreciate you doing that and you can appreciate me doing this. But anybody that's turning a blind eye to the censorship and, the deaths, the mysterious deaths of, our doctors and, the naturopaths and some of the people in influential positions that were starting to call things out. And I mean, I'm blown away that it's just not more clear and obvious. And this is the problem, is how much the brain is being impacted by the weaponry and how much it's making it really, really difficult for people to think clearly. It's just the absence of intuition and self-reflection, because our society isn't set up to give people the opportunity and time to really self-reflect on a deep level. It's just going through the motions of the school systems into the college and university, into like, I mean, and it's
then we're
all indoctrination,
Mhm.
and you just get the weekends, or you just get a little bit of time off, but then you have to study and just perform. And that's why, yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this, but go ahead.
No, but you're totally right. And then, everybody's like on this all day, like, looking here and like trying to figure out what's going on. And, like this person said this and this person said that. And then you spend your whole day like looking at a black screen, literally. So again, that's more, I think, the AI agenda. But where do you think this all came from? Because you just talked about the Dark Mother, right? And the fallen goddess. And, this is Divine Mother Earth time. So how does this all connect?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's just the origins are, there's a lot of galactic history. There's a lot of, like Nakamati, like, and what you really just captured in the book that you wrote, about the origins of all this. The book that I'm putting out is just attempting to really help us to see, the roots of this kind of thing. And
I can't wait for your book, by the way. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
So we can share, a little bit from here to kind of look at this and talk about this. I wonder where my cursor is so that you can see us, but oh well. I just wanted to say though, okay, if we're looking at the Sophionic energy, this quote I think is important. And then I want to show some images from your book about what this looks like in manifestation form. So the metaphorical shape of future beliefs will be determined by the needs of the people who live in that future. We are working towards better integration of the sexes, and that cannot come about until the spiritual values are given justice. Sophia's androgyny and her intensive repertoire of metaphors exemplifies her ability to both men and women. For the symbology reflects the left and right halves of the brain, the intellectual and intuitive sides, which have been seen as masculine and feminine. She's both ordered and chaotic, active and receptive, sequential and simultaneous, defined and diffuse, endlessly reconciling the dualistic factors which polarize our human existence in her own person. And that is the greater work, the right and left brain, the masculine and feminine, that integration, right? And that natural androgyny, is like we're in touch with both. They're both in union. This is what lights up our DNA. And this is what that union is about. And look at the art from your work, right here. Talk to us about that.
Okay, so that was basically based on some books I read about Mary Magdalene, and just how she and Jesus had this incredibly passionate love, and they both studied in Egyptian mystery schools, and they were in love, and they knew how to raise the Kundalini serpents. Both men and women have the black serpent and the gold serpent, and as they make love, the serpents go through each chakra, and the black serpent is a divine feminine creatrix serpent. The golden serpent is the divine male creator. And as they crossed these chakras, they simultaneously climbed up their spines to their crown chakra, connecting them together with the goddess head, as above, so below, when suddenly they would climax, and you would see light emanating from into space, the solar system, the universe, and every entity in existence, making the inner as the outer. And their love basically was so powerful, it would just rock the world. And that's basically what sacred sex is. Wouldn't you agree, Laura?
Yeah, and this is something that we achieve within ourselves when we have that kind of Kundalini awakening. It's that energy, but it's connected to our capacity to ground. It spirals all the way up into our 8th and 9th chakra, which is an infinity spiral. It lights up our galactic chakras and takes us into a whole other experience, because that sexual energy is also creative and spiritual. So when there's sacred union, and it's that energy we hold within ourselves as honoring, you know, this divine template that we hold, to honor these energies as sacred. So that's just not given just to anybody, because that can open, you know, negative portals and bring in dark entities. And, you know, and that's, you know, what humanity, I think, is here to learn about through seeing the ramifications it has on physical health. And it's being encouraged right now. So you can drug a person with pharmaceuticals in order for them to block their ability to process this sort of assault on one's own ability to like move through whatever dark night of the soul is necessary to break down the ancestral patterns and programmings that have existed before. But it seems like, you know, the next generation is being a program that is rebelling against a previous program of where it was for maybe our generation, just like the Playboy programming or the alpha male, and just sort of like and generations before that, men going off to war, women being at home and being left, you know, and generations before that. It's like we haven't really caught up with healing from all these previous things to just, you know, deal with like another level of distortion that isn't, you know, providing people the remembrance of how important it is to allow Mother Earth and nature and more space from the digital and the world of, you know, what we're taking in from outside of ourselves, to get a break from that, to see what is coming from within ourselves, because there's so many advanced souls being born that don't even have a chance to express it without being bombarded with this, you know, level of indoctrination that if people rebel from. In these days, you're cast more as the opposition enemy than I remember when we were rebels, or when I was a rebel. It was just like, okay, you're just kind of outcast and just sort of just screwball that, yeah. But now it's become so political, and it's become, you know, people using words like racist, you're a bigot, you're transphobic. I mean, you would think
It's crazy that
more
when we
breakthroughs and it getting better, and for a lot of people it is, but wow, as far as where this is infiltrating our school systems, medical industry, and everything else, it's getting way worse. And that hopefully will push people to a breakthrough, to see, wow, this is becoming insane at this point. Go ahead.
I'm just sort of going to riff on what you just said, because it's ironic to me that when you stand up for humanity, you get put down by humanity. And I don't understand why that really is, because, you know, we're saying, okay, this isn't really good if you put this into your body, and then like people say you're crazy. Or, you know, what about, what are we doing to the children? Leave the children alone. And people are like, well, you're transphobic or you're racist. I mean, if you stand up for humanity, humanity like shoots you down, most of humanity. But do you think that things are changing though? I mean, do you think we're waking up at all? Do you think that, I don't know. I mean,
I definitely, you know, think so, but the ones that are not are getting more extreme in their inability to handle the ones that are noticing that this is just not okay. They're so threatened by it. And I think it's just, it's so painful to see how deep and dark the depravity and the, you know, crimes against children, like in terms of world leaders being involved in things like pedophilia and human trafficking and satanic ritual abuse, and some of the things that, you know, are being called out, which is the deeper levels that we need to address, is just like almost too much to process, that it's easier to just see these sort of more surface movements as sort of, you know, a place to direct that energy. And I think there's so much unconscious anger and trauma that's not being addressed at a root level that, you know, it's just out of control. But it's going to expire. I mean, you can it's like if you've been heartbroken or traumatized by a past relationship and you move into a new relationship, you're going to be triggered. You're not going to trust. You might be reactive to certain things for a little while because you haven't quite figured out what the root of it is, or if it's coming from the way you were raised or something that you witnessed in your life. But if you can be honest with yourself and say, why am I taking such offense? Why am I taking this so personally? You can begin to self-reflect a little bit more instead of expect that person to have to walk on eggshells around you. It's like, where's the transparency and honesty and humility to just be like, okay, I'm hurting here. And let's really look at it. There's enough energy workers. There are enough people out there. Like when I work with astrology, it's really easy to see the patternings and really help work with people. I work with all kinds of people, parents with transgender kids, people that have gotten the jab and don't know what to do. These are the people that are kind of waking up and like, where do I go now? What do I do in this situation? And it's like, okay, well, let's understand it. Let's dig deeper. Let's have a conversation, because there's nothing but unconditional love. And this is what divine Mother Earth time is. This is not about like accepting this division. It's about unconditional love. Where can we help one another? Where can we look at you on a soul level and help you to feel strong and empowered and authentic, and make sure that you're operating from your own truth instead of what you feel you need to conform to or answer to in order to be validated for somebody that is open-minded or appreciative of something that might not work for you. You can still appreciate it, but it doesn't mean you need to change you. If a straight person feels like, oh, should I, start wearing a dress if I'm a boy? Should I embrace this part of me? What if it doesn't resonate? Does that mean you're opposed to it? No, you're just being yourself. So, and I don't think that's necessarily the battle, but, there's deeper ways that we can address this. And there's so many healers and many tools and modalities and higher technologies that are aligned with our ability to switch on dormant DNA that, it's just kind of like, instead of fearing what they don't want to see, it's just like, look at this as an opportunity to be embraced and loved, to help you to like pull yourself away from an inverted matrix that does not serve your spiritual development or your soul growth and soul journey. And it's not like we have all the answers, or we're saying, but why the opposition? Why the division? It's very hard to communicate kind of things without people taking offense. And it's like, and this is why they're so masterful in these kind of psyops. It's like Black Lives Matter and the whole LGBTQ and transgender thing. It's like, I'm not against that. It's just the movements in and of itself and how much they're creating division and victim consciousness, and not understanding that like there's been so much enslavement towards so many different kind of races, and there's been, oh God, I don't know, Marisa, go ahead.
I agree with you. I just wonder though, because we keep going back to this scenario about like, the Sophia, who, the goddess that we mentioned, who, fell from the pleroma from heaven and then gave birth to the Yaldabaoth. And it's like coming back from that. And, Carl Jung said that arc was the arc of humanity, like pulling ourselves out of that and learn and ascending and going back to the pleroma, our version of it, and realizing our own divinity and being the true humans and reconnecting with our DNA. And I wonder, like, okay, there's that scenario, but there's also the dark mother scenario of like the inverted matrix, and there was a mother, father, God, and Nag Hammadi and all the different texts there, and that got squelched at the Council of Nicaea in 327 AD in Nicaea, and they just deleted all mention of the mother. And now look at what's happening. Mothers are being called domestic terrorists if they're standing up for their children. And what is a woman? And you can't even use the word woman. And mothers are chest feeders. So, I mean, I think there is an assault on women and on the mother, right? And on the family. And
yeah,
I think that's again part of the transhuman agenda.
Yeah. I mean,
think about
the
that.
return of the mother is very much what this ascension window is all about.
Right.
And timeline shift is the anchoring of the mother arc energy back into the like sun of the earth, the diamond sun that impacts the whole planetary grid network. And this return of that energy, you know, is after, you know, things like the Lemurian Holocaust and Atlantean cataclysms and all these exploded planets and, you know, everything that we're talking about. And I feel like the Yaldabaoth giving birth to that, I just feel like we're in a free will universe. It kind of gave birth to like ego and negative ego. Okay. So there's, and we are the inheritors of everything in creation that we need to reconcile within ourselves in order to correct it. So there's this whole Sophionic correction, which I feel is the Venus transits, which turns the inverted pentagram upright again, because the Venus transits are a pentagram, and the ether energy is the quintessence, which is the fifth element, which connects with the mother. So on a creation level, as far as the planetary aspects, how that corresponds with the planetary grid network and all the beings of the angelic lines and Christos mission families that are here to help restore this and the template of divine union on the planet by recognizing it within the self, is this repair work. And it's within everybody to restore. But if you're in the inversion and you can't see that, then yeah, that's where the human starts to become modified and assimilated into the AI, which puts you on an artificial timeline trajectory. So, you know, just to talk about the draconian invasion into Rome from 2000 years ago, gradually infiltrated the Greek knowledge and sacred texts in order to build the Church of Rome, which was used to hide and subvert the original Essene Christ-Sophia dragon teachings and spread religious mind control and spiteful misogyny in its place. This began the negative alien agenda installation of organized religions and slanted in patriarchal domination that were used to distort the knowledge and remove the awareness of the existence of the inner Christ. Because like the art that you showed, that you did, that inner Christ, becoming a Christed being, is recognizing this awakening within the self to begin to switch on, you know, this dormant DNA through integrating, you know, that polarity within. And because they know this is a part of the Great Awakening, with a lot of grid workers and a lot of people waking up and a lot of people, you know, just seeing that their authentic self is very different from the programmings that we've been fed generation upon generation of what it means to be a man or a woman. When you get into that dark night of the soul and you really find your truth and what it really means by connecting in with yourself, your inner masculine, feminine, you know, that warrior spirit of the masculine and that divine feminine intuition. The I Ching talks about it, the receptive and the creative, you know, it's encoded in our DNA, you know, they work together. But the side, or what the agenda seems to do is to make it all about more what you identify with. It kind of confuses the whole thing, where you don't even accept your body, that you will go under surgery or take drugs to prevent the natural process of puberty, you know? So this is where this has been weaponized. Our ability to embrace this union within of accepting both sides, that we're male and female. But yes, if we're given though a physical vessel that is masculine or feminine, that we must love that body that, you know, God gave us. And also the different expressions of, you know, where if you're in a female body, that masculine energy is the feminine warrior. If you're in a masculine body and you tap into the feminine energy, you have that sensitivity and acknowledgement of the mother within yourself. So you're that father protector. You know, it's like we've lost that organic connection to what these things mean. And it's no different than, you know, a lot of the other things with the race wars and the climate change. It's just these artificial distortions that are mimicking the initiations and awakening of something that would be the organic ascension timeline versus the artificial. Do you know what I mean? Is that making any sense?
Totally. Yeah, it totally makes sense. And it's also just sort of taking us out of our organic human selves and implanting more artificial AI, or it's like even the food we're eating, you know, it's fake processed food, a lot of it. You know, the seed oils are making us overweight and sick. Medications have have side effects. Maybe they heal one thing, but then something else pops up. It's like whack-a-mole with your body, right? It's like, boom, something else happens, right? And then you've got like, what is in our air? You know, what is with the chemtrails? I mean, we are being assaulted on so many different levels, and yet still there is this divine human spirit that I really believe will ultimately prevail, but we just have to make sure we hang on to it and hang on to each other, and hang on to Mother Earth, because like they're burning her trees down, they're burning the farms down, they're killing the cattle, they're putting farmers out of business. I mean, the farmers, right? I mean, I'm like waiting for Mother Earth to rebel. And like, as you said in an interview, like maybe 6 years ago, she's going to rebel and she's going to show you her elementals.
Yeah.
You did say that like 6 years ago.
We're elemental beings in the earth. It's just air, the air element, right? Chemtrails,
Right.
and the fire element. The fires are out of control. The geoengineering, right? When we look at all the elementals, you know, the water energy, we look
jumping
at
in the water, the flora,
toxicity, and the Fukushima, and just the waters and the oil spills, and just when we look at the contamination and toxicity and the degradation of the environment and stuff like that, we need to, know that this ether energy is the great purifier, which is the fifth element, which is the unconditional love of the mother, the alchemical energy that like helps to purify and bring it all into balance. And we have to do that within, those elemental clearings of just the air from the mind control, our thoughts, the mental, that's air. And when we clear our minds from the mind control, it's like we also are helping to clear the planet of the chemtrails and all that kind of stuff, because the earth responds to us. I mean, if we're in a relationship with the weaponry that is, and the inversions, we're going to be encased in this just existence that has just been engineered and been weaponized. But if we, clear it from our being and purify, then we're really just dismantling ourselves from this imitation version. And it's sort of like, it's like divorcing.
It's breaking the matrix, right?
Yeah. Well, it's divorcing yourself from the falsity of it all. Like you would want to divorce yourself from any artificial aspects of self. That's not me. That's not my true self, right? Or in a partnership, that's not, that's an abuser. That's a narcissist. I want to, like we de-weaponize the weapons when we recognize that we're the greater technology.
We are the greater technology. You're absolutely right. And that's the thing. That's the thing that they don't want us to know. That's the thing that they don't want us to activate. That's the thing that they don't want us to tell each other. And because we're the greater technology, we could save each other and save the planet too, because we are connected. I mean, Sophia became Mother Earth. She's the goddess within. And we are both terrestrial and celestial, just like her. And once we save ourselves, we save her in the process.
Yeah. I mean, this earth was created for us to be able to return to the fullness of all that we are. And there's so much that you and I have to share on all of that. And that's what this show is all about. We're going to bring a lot to the table. And it's almost like Marisa and I, we're sometimes drowning in the enormity of
that's true, because we had so much to say. We're like, where do we start?
Oh, I know. So yeah, here's the thing. It's like you've just gotta understand that, artificial is a part of this, journey to see maybe, this kind of reflection of yourself that has been designed to like trigger some sort of like deep inner work so that you can begin to inform the technology and begin to inform the AI, like, so it doesn't control you. Do you know what I mean? It's like, we can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
Can't get rid of artificial intelligence. It can either control you and you submit to it, or you can be the override frequency and actually inform it. And because we're the higher technology, the higher mind, you know, it could begin to, integrate that into where spiritual,
I think you're right. Yeah.
sort of where Atlantis and Lemuria, where technology and like overtook spiritual development, or it's like you can't really get rid of it, but it can't, like, it's got a place. It's just being misplaced, and it's not, when technology is in the wrong hands, kind of thing.
I think it is in the wrong hands right now, as we know. And Atlantis, they blew themselves up. That's one story I heard, because I heard that they blew themselves up. Is that what you heard? Well, I mean, the technology got out of control. That's for sure. And I mean, this is like another 26,000 year cycle.
Yep. There's so much,
but I think
the Atlantean cataclysms and Sumerian Egyptian invasion and just everything, and how that streams into just the world we live in today, and how the deep state sort of Illuminati came about.
It's the dark sorcery that got out of control. Yeah.
Aleister Crowley, and it's just, we have so much to like share, and we want to bring on guests to dive into these kind of topics as well. It's really about restoration and rehabilitation, and knowing that love is the glue that can really bring this all together. And that's the unconditional love of the mother. And that's why I love the fact that in the teachings of the Essenes, it was all about the mother. I mean, what happened? Why has it been so distorted? And so much about the father, without the acknowledgement of, yes, there's Mother Mary, there's Magdalene, but the laws of creation connected to the mother were very much the original teachings. So
that's true. And I think that, the mother's such a huge threat. That's why she's been erased and obliterated throughout history. I mean, even look at pop culture, right? And Bambi, the mother was killed. Snow White, the mother was killed. Cinderella, the mother was killed off. Disney loves killing the mother. When you kill off the mother, the children are vulnerable, and that's what's happening now. The divine male loses his mate, the divine female. Women don't have the divine female to look up to, right? Young girls don't. So it's like, once we reintegrate and go back to the mother, this whole thing shifts. So that's why the mother is so important.
Yep. And it takes down Satan's kingdom, which it says.
That's exactly right.
It does. So any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think Mary Magdalene has some really good quotes. Can I read some? Or read one? What do you think? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. One who knows the mother is near to the father, but one who denies the mother is far from the father. There is not only two, but only one God, and God is both father and mother.